You're listening to Life and Shyt. I'm Danielle Walker.
And I'm Tommy Walker.
Join us as we talk about our journey overcoming fears, boundaries, marriage, family, lifestyle, business, and whatever other shit you can think of.
We're individuals that came together to create one unit with one mind and one goal.
Hey.
What's up, baby?
What's going on, baby? How are you today?
You got glasses on. I like it. I'm doing good, but you got
call out the glasses.
Yeah, you wearing glasses. This is some new shit. What's up with the glasses? So
my vision is fine, but when I
your vision is fine, but you got glasses.
When I have a tendency to I'm on the computer all day, basically, and then on my phone, and for some reason or other, it was starting to blur. So
what was blur?
The words.
Your fine vision.
The words I was reading. It was the words, not me.
Okay.
So they gave me the glasses for that problem, and it's beautiful. Everything is a lot clearer. I could see. It's amazing.
Oh, that's good. All right. Well, as long as they help. But you look cute.
Well, thank you.
Looking like a little doctor. Lightweight librarian. just a little bit. Shout out to our wine of the day. We have Longevity Wines, right?
Longevity.
Yeah, so shout out to Phil Long. He is the owner of Longevity Wines, and they have a super cool story. So Black-owned winery. Right.
Dope.
And Phil actually started the winery, with his wife, Deborah.
That's right.
And Deborah had unfortunately passed away in 2019. And
pancreatic cancer?
Yeah, pancreatic cancer. Mm-hmm. So if you actually check out the website, longevitywines.com, and you can see his story, but it's a pretty dope story about how they got started and where they are.
It's cool because he has the heart on the top of the bottle, and that represents his wife, and he also has a heart tattooed on his forearm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is a Grenache that we're drinking right now. So shout out to Longevity Wines, Phil Long. His son is working with him, Phil Long Jr., and we really appreciate the opportunity to be sipping on such a delicious wine. Again, Black-owned, longevitywines.com. So
Longevity.
Yeah.
This is the Grenache.
So what's up, girl?
So I got a question.
Hit me.
Who do you think discovered sex?
Who discovered sex?
Mm-hmm.
Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve. Nowhere in the Bible does it say they had. Well, it does say they became comfortable with each other, or they revealed each other.
Is that what it is?
No, it just says that they revealed themselves to each other. It never said that they actually did the do.
They revealed themselves to each other.
Yeah, that's like the wording that it used.
Motherfuckers reveal themselves today.
It's like so all of a sudden they noticed that they were naked. Is what like. But I don't know if it ever does it say that they had sex.
It was some. I noticed you, and all of a sudden we had 2 kids.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but then they had twins, right? So, yeah, I guess they did have sex.
so they're not the creators. They didn't start it. I thought they was the ones that set it all off.
I mean, that makes sense. It was like, who said put this here and do that, right?
Yeah.
Like who was the first one?
Well, they definitely didn't document that.
Nah. For humans, but for fish, for some reason, when you look it up, who was the first? Well, like what was the first discovery of sex? It's gonna come to you some Scottish fish.
Yeah. Or
back in like decades ago, right, or centuries even ago.
So I had to fact check Danielle on this. I was like, get out of here, like
hey.
Fish. Like I'm looking at it right now, and it legit says a Scottish fish that some Australians found, right? So it makes it even more weird. 385 million years ago. And there's a video on it. Don't watch the video. It's weird.
Yeah, and they got like a whole little museum or something because they got the fish up, and they actually have it showing that I'm doing my pen in a in and out
you are
faction.
Very provocative.
And that's what they have. It's like, well, like that's crazy. That's where it began. That's where, or at least that's the first documented time. Like, and how come there's no human time where it was like, all right, this is how we have sex, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it took forever for us to get sexually educated in school, So, and then even after that, just talking about sex in the home, in the house, right?
So today we're talking about the history of sex. That's why it's the history and the future of sex.
Yes.
Which is, Danielle got some pretty cool shit that we're going to talk about. But the history is funny.
Let's think about our history, right? So my like history of like when you first had sex, or what's this? Let's not even talk about sex. Let's think about when you first discovered your sex. That you're a male and you had penis, and you had penis. You had a penis. you had penis.
So I don't recall, like legit. I don't recall. Like a lot of people were like, oh yeah, I remember this, and I don't recall that. I remember my first time.
But wait, like you don't remember your first time having an erection?
Nah.
Oh.
No, I don't remember that. I remember my first time watching porn. I remember my first time having sex, and after that, it's just all a blur. And then everything in between.
So wait, so you mean to tell me you never had self-sex?
The fact that you even said self-sex, like I masturbated, yes, of course I masturbated.
I was just trying to be proper. Prior to the first time you had sex?
Self-sex sounds like an asexual reptile.
No, you make it seem like you had a hard-on and then had sex and then boom, you're done.
No, so legit.
So like, there's more to this story.
No, the first time I didn't have self-sex. I didn't masturbate prior to my first time.
Really?
Yeah, it was after my first time. Then it was like, that was great.
Okay.
I wanted to do it again.
Okay.
And then.
Oh, so you weren't like one of those little boys that got multiple hard-ons all the time, like
I said, nah.
Okay.
I was just out there in them streets. No, it didn't even cross my mind. Didn't even know like, what is this? What's happening here? That shit was natural. Like this is just the way my body reacts. But
I think like as girls, we're way more curious. Like I remember us as kids always talking about it. Always talking about, have you ever done this? Have you ever stuck something in there? Have you ever done that? How do you kiss? Like, I remember we kissed the inside of our elbows to practice.
Really?
It was like that was how it was like you practice kissing.
I just hold it.
Yep.
Yeah. That's how you practice kissing.
Yep, that's how you practice kissing.
Never heard of that.
As girls, we wanted bigger breasts, right? So, I know I did. Some girls were probably blessed with the breasts, but those of us that didn't, we did little things to make our breasts grow.
That was
normal. Know what I mean?
Yeah. Everybody did that.
Yeah. So, to me, that was like when I was first aware of my sex, because it's like why. I mean, your boobs are only for what I would say maybe 13.
Okay.
13, 14. It's 13, 14 when you start to really notice boys. And then the thing you notice is that boys are noticing girls with bigger boobs, or boys are noticing girls that look like this, right? So it's like, oh, shit, these girls are apparently sexy to these boys. So then, you as a woman, it's like, okay, what can I do? Or that's when you notice your sex, right?
That just proves that women are freakier than men. Yeah. that literally just put a stamp on it.
Lots of things to prove that.
Just shows that women are very sexual. Don't let the pretty smile fool you.
That's
now the
funny.
only thing that we've ever done practice wise was and I remember my brother telling me this. He was like, just lick the inside of your cheek.
Okay.
And I was like, so we was just walking around the house,
and that's
just
what
licking the inside
what was
of the
that?
cheek. And that was when when
that's how what taste.
You know what I'm saying. When you was going down, so you go down on a girl. You look the inside of your cheek, and that's how you practice to give you a understanding of what it tastes like, and it's not true.
And then for girls, right, bananas, they'd be like, oh, banana, or lick a lollipop to learn how to do fellatio, right? And we like still not know what the hell we were doing ever. Like any practice that I had as a child or as a young woman was nothing like the experience when it actually happened.
Never.
And it's just like, I don't know why, but we just don't talk about sex enough. Even in this conversation, I'm like, oh, self-sex and not masturbation, right? And I don't even know why. It just feels like talking about sex isn't proper still after all these years.
Because it's awkward. So the history of sex is one of those things that has been shunned upon, right? So, sex was a big thing back in like the ancient Rome, ancient Egypt, ancient Greece. Like these motherfuckers didn't give a shit, right? Mm-hmm. They was out there just doing whatever that they want. But then, you had STDs, you had, all this stuff come about. And then it was frowned upon, right? So it was like, how do you control these STDs from spreading and all these other different things that was happening that people were doing outside of normal sex? And then it's like fucking syphilis, right?
Yeah.
How did you get syphilis?
Well, and in reading about sex too, they said that you can say that there's average sex, but it's not normal, right? So it's what's average, but if it's average doesn't mean it's not normal, right? So is like what I believe you're kind of alluding to is sex privately, right? So people have sex more privately now, and it's one of those things like, I don't know, for seclusion, cleanliness, like people don't want other people to see them.
They got nervous.
They got nervous or control. So they want to control. They want to control their
environment.
Yeah, they want to control. So they bring it in. But then there's things like orgies, right? And group sex, right? And in group sex, people are pretty free.
Yeah, but and that was the big thing back in the days, right? So that's what I was saying. Like back in the ancient times, you know, if you watch, like I think one of our favorite shows was Spartacus back in the days when it used to come on Cinemax or Stars.
Stars. Yep.
So like when you look at old school depictions of how, I mean, not only just kings, but even, you know, some low level people, like middle class, that's just how they live. That was just normal for them, right?
It was both the women and the men too, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And then even in some, if you look at in some religious practices, you know, it was like, whatever, this is what it is back in those days. And then it changed, and then it, you know, it kind of went away, but then it came back. It went away mostly because of, like, you know, you had the Victorian era where everybody started wearing these long dresses and everybody was all bundled up. So you didn't see that kind of lifestyle, and people, you know, they wasn't that cute no more. You know, so all of that kind of went away.
They wasn't that cute.
No, it wasn't that sexually attractive from a body standpoint. So the Victorian era came along, you know, kind of got rid of a lot of that stuff, and then, you know, film kind of reinvented it, right? So now you wasn't living that, and it wasn't as private. It became more of a visual thing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
More of a fantasy.
Yeah. And then another thing is the birth control happened, right? So people are like, hey, you know, now I have birth control, I'll have more sex.
You got to
know
control the population.
Yeah, it's like if birth control wasn't a deal, then there'd be a lot less sex, right? And then STDs, that people start to control those a lot more too. So it's like, all right, you know, if you take STDs off the table, then hey, like we're doing this a lot more often, right?
So why be private? Why not talk about it? Like, why is it so awkward? Why is it so taboo?
That's a great question. I don't know. I actually am very free about talking about sex, but I like on this platform, sexual like things about myself, history, I won't go as deep, but maybe privately I would. I think it's embarrassment. I think people maybe shame.
Shame is a big thing. Yep.
So I think that might be.
And like how you said, but going back to, like, you know, when did you understand your sexual, you know, whatever you like, whatever you liked, or your sexual body parts?
Or your body can have sex, right?
You know, it usually happened as a kid, right? So you might feel shamed about some things that you've done as a kid,
or
right?
that have happened.
Or that have happened, right?
That is true too.
So it's understanding that and then having a conversation. Now, you know, and we're talking about history. Like, if you think about your own history of sex, right? Like we're talking about fish 385 million years ago, but let's talk about your history of sex. My first time having sex was at 14 years old. I had a conversation with a dude today. In the Indian culture, at 7 years old, they have a big party for basically for the boys as becoming, like you're coming into yourself at 7. That's impressive. In the American culture, you ain't coming into yourself until you could vote, or until you're out of the house, you know, on your own. It used to be 18,
but it wasn't always
21.
like that, right? It wasn't always like that in American culture too. They had their kids weren't coming into age, but they were working earlier, right? And they were more independent earlier. And somewhere along the way, we start saying, no, we want our babies to be babies longer than they are.
Yeah. So then, therefore, because you want them to be babies longer, you're not having that conversation. So therefore, now at 14 years old, you're going out and you're exploring. And you're bumping your head and knocking over, and now that person who all those things that you went through is who you are today, and that's why you know, having a conversation about sex may feel awkward, or you might feel uncomfortable, or you might be ashamed of something that you did that you should probably let the fuck go.
Yeah, definitely. And you may need to talk about some things, and you may need to let it out, and then you could let it go, but you have to acknowledge it as well.
Yeah, 1000%.
That makes sense. Well, speaking of like crazy things, in the 1300s,
the 1300s.
in France, the men would sometimes have to basically like jerk off in front of the court to prove that they can get up. Now, I looked this history up, and I wonder, like, who was the person that said he can't get up, and why was it like,
there was
this
definitely
is a
some
thing.
finger pointing.
This is a thing.
So it's,
I can prove it.
So it's definitely a spouse, significant other, right? It was like, yo, I married this dude and he's not delivering, and they took him to court, and they was like, yo, bro,
Prove it.
yeah. And if you think about some laws like that, there's a lot of laws that are still in place that we don't think about. That's why, hey, don't. When people say go out and vote because some shit is coming, like, yo, that shit's real. There's some laws that we just don't know about that are in place. So
That's
somebody
too
said,
funny.
yo, this dude is not performing. I'm taking him to court.
Yep.
And he had to perform in front of the, I'm sure it was open.
Court. Yeah, I'm sure. And I'm sure it was mostly men, which is odd too, right? It's just like, ooh. And then here's another thing that I thought was different. Like, why do we call it sex? Like, what is, like, why sex? Why is that the word?
I don't know.
You know, and it's an old French word, that an old French word that just meant like your genitals.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
So they just said sex.
Drop a gold nugget right now.
Sex.
So, which reminds me, so shout out to our boy Elon Musk.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
So you just hit me to
Yeah,
why
the Tesla and
all the different
the S,
models. Yeah.
The X, the Y. Sexy. Yeah.
So if Elon didn't create that on purpose, or if he did, shout out to Elon for doing that.
They said he did. That's what he did.
He did it on purpose.
That he did it on purpose.
That is super cool. I didn't know that. And you have a Model S, so and you tried to get the X. So damn, that's shout out to the bro.
That would have been cool, and then we could have got a Y. And then in the 1990s, vibrators came out.
90s is when vibrators?
No, not 1990. Sorry, just the 1900s.
Oh, I was about to say, like that shit, is that brand new?
Yeah.
No, okay.
It's still 19s. Like that was the beginning.
Well, I mean, you got to think about it. It's electronics, right?
Yeah, I guess initially it probably wasn't. It was just like.
So they had vibrators before they had TVs. That's gangster.
That is gangster. So as I said, they weren't electric. They were just like, you know,
battery
items.
operated.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and we talk about sex, but women been sticking things up there for a long time trying to feel something.
Well, I tell you, you gotta love the female species.
It's like it's there, you know.
So experimental.
Let's see, you know,
just explorers.
Let's play. And it's like one of my favorite 1,000 Ways to Die. One of those shows.
Oh, that's gonna be a terrible example.
I mean, hey, it's a great example though, because a woman takes a carrot and she, you know, uses it on herself, and the tip of the carrot breaks off inside of her, and she ends up actually passing away because of a bacteria infection. So, I mean, that was like not so long ago, but I mean, still, women are still sticking things up there to try to.
That's why you got to have a conversation about it.
Yes, this is why we have to educate. Like, go get a vibrator, girl. Go get a vibrator. Explore. Explore. Yeah, and nowadays they got and that leads me to like the future of sex, right? And not even just like where sex is now.
But so real talk, when it comes to the vibrator point, it's like a lot of dudes are intimidated by vibrators, or they'll say like, oh, fuck that, we don't need vibrators. And you know, at the end of the day, get out your head. You know, it's if you're with someone and they enjoy stuff like that, by all means, like, you know, participate and help them out with it. But if you're being replaced by a vibrator, that's a problem.
Okay.
So, you know, again, it goes back to having that communication, and don't feel it's not about the ego and feeling like, oh no, I deliver every single time. It's about having fun, but don't be replaced.
Right.
And if you're trying to replace your man with a vibrator, like, don't do that. That's not.
Yeah.
It's a bad idea.
Yeah, and then have a talk with him, right? Tell him like, this is what I like, or this is what I don't like, and I think that's why it's important for women to explore their bodies before sex a lot, because
what does that mean?
Explore your body,
Yeah.
Touch yourself, perhaps put things in there, but vibrators, not random items. Yes,
things that don't break.
Yeah, things that don't break, like fingers. But yeah, explore. Do self-exploration.
Okay.
So you know what you like. So you know how you feel. You know how to explain what you want, without, and then also you explore with a man as well. But if you do some self-exploring first, then you have a little more details on what you want and what you like.
And don't be afraid to study. Like if you go back to, we talked about Greece and Rome and Egypt and all of the different ancient, civilizations, there's a lot of history behind this, right? And even going to like India, I didn't even mention India, but India has like, the Kama Sutra books. There's a lot of content on this stuff, and you just kind of got to find what that path looks like when it comes to having that conversation. And how early should you have that conversation? I think as soon as the question comes, or even think about yourself, right? Think about how you were at whatever age, if you got kids or if you got nieces and nephews. And it's never just about, oh, my kids. If you don't have kids, you got a niece, you got a nephew, you got a godchild. Think about how you were at that age and how curious you were and how people made you feel about the subject.
Right. Your history. Think about your history of sex,
Exactly.
which is why I wanted to do this topic. It's like so we could talk about like, this is history. This is the history of sex. This is where sex came from. This is where our sex came from. This is how it developed, and this is like why we need to talk about it.
Yeah. So where is sex going?
Where is sex going?
Yeah.
Sex is going to some crazy places, I'll tell you. So they have things like a fleshlight, which I think is crazy. And then here's like, let me, what we're talking about, like vibrators. Vibrators is one of the only things that women have. Even porn was, porn was more geared towards men forever. Okay, right?
Yes.
Well, what else do we have other than vibrators?
You have dildos.
That's just like almost the same thing. It doesn't vibrate.
Right.
And it, so we could just turn our vibrator off and now it's a dildo. Yeah. But I know what you mean.
I feel like women have more tools because it takes more things. And then and men are more visual.
Okay.
So men have a lot. Yeah, I mean, now if you're talking, like you said, porn, there's a shit ton of content.
Okay.
But to go to the store and purchase something, it's really geared towards women.
Okay. I guess that's real. Oh, and then another question before I dive into this. How do you feel about sex every day? Do you think it's okay to have sex every day? Do you think
it's as healthy as eating vegetables every day?
This is when you get to that average or normal question, right? So it's like the average person may not have sex every day, but that doesn't mean it's normal, right? And then the average, like if you have sex every day, that means that it's not normal, though. You know what I mean? That means that or it doesn't mean that it's normal either. So it's like, I
don't know. When things like, who justifies normal, right? That's where I have no judgment when it comes to justifying what normal is to you in your ecosystem, because in your ecosystem, jogging every day might be normal. Yeah. Somebody else's ecosystem is like
eating ice cream might be normal.
Exactly. So no judgment on what's normal, but in my personal ecosystem, sex is like eating vegetables.
It's your normal.
Yeah, it comes part of the routine.
And then the average is something that could actually be calculated, right, and given. So these are the numbers, but just because the average person reports it doesn't mean that that's normal or like the normal thing to do. So that's real. And one of the, just going to like what's coming is sex robots, right? Sex robots are, I say, initially geared towards men. And I remember
sex robots are geared towards men.
Well, sex robots and sex. So there was the sex dolls, right?
That's
that's definitely men. Now the sex robots are,
I feel
and
like
there's
that could
these
be a
things
woman thing.
that are just like little hands or little machines that just do the job. And women don't want a machine, not like that.
Women are very sexual animals. You took a dude to court because he couldn't perform.
Yeah, that's
Women want machines. we did a podcast episode about how back in the days women had multiple dudes because it was harder for them to climax, right?
Yeah, okay. So you think these machines are more made
is,
for?
hey, don't downplay the feminine energy. That's all I'm saying.
So men have things like pussy pockets, right? This fleshlight that I seen, and
where did you see the fleshlight?
I seen this on the most expensivest things with my boy 2 Chainz. That I always forget, like, oh yeah, he was a rapper, because I love that show.
He was a rapper.
Or he is a rapper.
2 Chainz is still a rapper, and he's a host.
But I like him as a host. It's really, really cool. But I do like some of his songs.
and then
so this fleshlight.
Yeah, what is
it's
it?
this big
Fleshlight.
Flesh, yeah. It's like this big thing that looks like a flashlight, right? So it's big and circle and it's black. And in the front of it, there's these little lip-like looking things, and you can get them to look like however you want. And side note, you can get the inside molded like your wife or your girlfriend, or like some there's
Celebrity.
like there's several celebrity women or stars that have molded the insides of not only their
porn stars, not
porn
regular
stars, porn stars.
Don't be like, yo, I want that Halle Berry.
Who knows what Halle Berry had? I knew that was the first way to say. Everybody like,
I want that Halle Berry.
Halle Berry needs to sell that. Just kidding, Halle Berry, keep it secret. But so both sides, right? So the Rudy and the Tootie, you can get a mold of, and you can put inside of this fleshlight, right? And the way the fleshlight works, there's several things. The man can just actually, use the fleshlight on his own, and then there's another tool that the wife can take, and she can have, and it's like a vibrator, or basically a vibrator, and whatever motion the wife does, the husband will feel as long as he's inside of the fleshlight. So if she puts it inside of her, then he feels it's like they're kind of having sex together still.
But they're not in the same room.
No, they're not even in. You don't even have to be in the same country, the same city, the same town. Just as long as you guys both have the devices, they talk.
That's futuristic.
Yeah, I think that is super, super dope. Now the
Now,
other thing you could
that's
do.
a robot.
Yeah, definitely on both sides, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing that you could do is it connects to your VR goggles. So you could put on your VR goggles, and then there's different little like games that you can connect to, and now you're with a woman or whatever you want to be with. But you have the goggles on and you have the fleshlight on your body. So now it's like you're having actual sex.
That's all right. I'm gonna take it back to the '90s real quick for those that grew up in the '90s. You remember Coneheads, the movie? Mm-hmm. Remember how they used to have sex?
I don't.
They used to put the cone. They used to have these crowns that they put on top of their cones. They never touch each other, and then they would
that's
just put their
right.
hands. They would feel each other's energy, right? And this is the '90s, right? So we're seeing the future of sex in the movies, and now it's becoming reality.
Yeah.
With all this cool shit that's happening.
Yeah.
That's intense.
Yeah, and they say that it's super, super intense, and sensitivity is like at its highest, and it's super sensual because that person's not there. You have to use a little more imagination. Then when you see that person, you kind of feel like you guys got this little.
It becomes more mindful.
Yeah. So it's not so bad. I don't know, but how do you feel? How do you feel about that? Is that something that you would use, or?
I don't know. I don't have to.
Well, babe, like if any time we're both in 2 different cities or something like that.
How often does that happen?
It doesn't, but if it did, would you not be opposed to using it?
If it's a less than 1% of the time, I have no reason to try it.
You wouldn't even want to try it, you're saying?
If you was in multiple cities and I was in multiple cities, 80%, like, then I would be like,
if we was in the same room together, I would want to try it. I would buy you that just so we could try it. Just because I wanted to try.
That sounds like a waste of money.
You're like, but you're right there.
Yeah, no.
I could do it to you.
That sounds like we use it one time. Like, oh, we did it. No.
I mean, we wouldn't use it one time. We'd use it several times.
Then we would be forced to use it.
Yeah, if we bought it. It's not a force to use it, but it would be fun to use.
It'd be like when you bought me the drone And I was like, fuck, I have to use it. So let me use it. And I lost it twice.
Yeah, I guess you're right. So I ain't buying it for you, so it don't matter. Doesn't matter.
I appreciate it.
Viagra for women, and there's always been Viagra for men, right? Because men found a way very quickly and very easily how to stay
because
hard.
y'all took us to court. Like, I'm going back to that. like erectile dysfunction
For the
is a
record,
very
it
real
doesn't
thing.
say that women took you to court. It says you were taken to court. So
Well, somebody took it.
it doesn't say that it was a woman.
It wasn't your it wasn't your homie.
But now they have Viagra for women, which is interesting, which I've tried. And it is, I didn't feel anything extra or different. I mean, I just didn't. No. Maybe I didn't get the right ones. I don't know. Like, I know there's different Viagras, but, and then, like.
Well, I mean, erectile dysfunction is a real thing, right? It's a very sensitive subject.
Very true.
You know, it's out there for a reason. Viagra was made, you know, to help and fix that, right? But at the same time, I think it kind of goes back to what you were saying, how there's more things for men out there, and that might have been one of those things. But women don't have that problem.
No.
You know what I mean? And like you never heard a woman like, oh, I just couldn't get horny.
Perform.
Yeah, or because it's usually, it means either you didn't do what I asked you to do, or mentally I'm not here. You know what I mean?
Or like I just didn't perform like
But
this.
for a man,
Just
like,
needs a little juice.
yeah, for a man, like that's legitimately circulation. Like there's a whole medical issue, and comes from multiple things that could happen. So to hear that women now has it, I don't know. I don't think women ever had a shortage. I think it was more just a like, what's up? Like I want to try something that helps me out. Get that, you know.
I guess that's legit. And there's lots of men that use Viagra that don't need it too. So that's a thing. Like in the men world, that there a lot of men use it as well. So another thing that they have for women too, though, that I seen on the most of expenses things, was manservants. And the manservants was really, really cool. I was like, oh, okay. So for bachelorette parties or a birthday party or, you know, whatever you want, you can get a manservant to come out, and he can come and he'll like do mimosas for you, pour wine, he'll rub your feet. He'll do whatever really like you want him to do, except for sex. They say no sex. And he has to be in by midnight. Otherwise, they say like he turned into a pumpkin.
So man, if it's sex, it's a different category. Yes, now you're an escort.
Yeah,
but I mean, or escort plus. But I mean, man,
it's very sensual though. What he's doing to you the whole time he's there.
So they basically made Benson the butler sexy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It sounds like it, yes.
But is that the future? Oh, yeah, I'm about to say that's more high end.
Yeah, I guess that is. But yeah, I guess, it's the future and high end, because I guess you have to have money to do it. But women don't know it's there yet. So
all right, so if you're having a birthday party
or a bachelorette
party, and it's either a stripper or a manservant.
Yep.
Either way, you're good as a woman now.
Yep.
Now, granted, I can understand that because there's not a lot of clubs for women, right? So women don't have like male strip clubs that they could go to.
Yes.
So therefore, you have these private.
That's huge,
yeah,
right?
You have these
strip
private
clubs. We didn't even bring up
opportunities.
strip clubs. Exactly. It's like my friend has a bachelorette party coming up now, and I'm like, it would be really cool if we could go slap some asses, or, you know what I mean? And not women asses, but like, you know.
Gets manservants.
Yeah. But apparently you can't slap asses.
No, you can't.
Yeah, it's different. Sex is only a 3-letter word. Why is it so dirty? Says Fulek.
Say that again.
Sex is only a 3-letter word. So how could it be dirty?
It's natural. Sex is natural. And I like being natural.
Being natural.
That's dope. This is History of Sex, Life, and Shit.
History of Sex.
Love you,
baby.
Do us a favor. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Leave a review. Let us know what your thoughts are. That's the only way that this show is going to be successful. And we appreciate you. Talk with you next time.